charges can be distributed on a wire and on a surface of the conductor and volume of the conductor. So therefore, depending on the type of distribution, we have three types of continuous charge distribution: linear charge distribution, surface charge distribution, and volume charge distribution. Let us study one by one. See, first consider the linear charge distribution. So the first one is linear charge distribution. See, charges distributed on a wire. See, suppose let us consider a wire of length AB wire of length AB is equal to L. Okay. Let us consider a small element dl of the wire. Okay. Let this element carrying a charge dq. Okay. See, the total charge on the wire is q. See, whereas the small element dl carrying a charge dq. Okay. Let us consider a point P at a distance r from the center of the element and place a charge q naught at P, and the force on the charge q naught due to dq is in this direction. This is df. It is away from the charge q naught. Okay. See, r cap is the unit vector in the direction of the force. So now we can write the force df exerted on q naught due to dq. See, the force df is equal to k into, see, this is q1 into q2, say dq into q naught, or q naught into dq divided by r square into r cap. Okay. See, what is r cap? R cap unit vector in the direction of df. See, r cap unit vector in the direction of df, that is force df. Okay. See, unit vector r cap can also be defined as it is the distance, it is the unit vector from the center of the element dl to the point P. Okay. So now the force can be written as df equal to k into q naught. See, what is dq? See here, see the linear charge density lambda is equal to, see, this is charge per unit length dq by dl. See, what is the lambda? Lambda is called linear charge density. See, this linear charge density lambda is equal to dq by dl, or dq is equal to lambda into dl. So therefore, here the dq is equal to lambda into dl. So therefore, it is lambda into dl divided by r square into r cap. Okay. See, now the force on charge q naught due to the entire length AB is force F is equal to k into q naught in integration L. So it is called the line integral lambda into dl divided by r square into r cap. Okay. See, this is the expression for the force on the charge at P due to the entire length linear charge distribution AB carrying the charge Q. So therefore, F equal to k into q naught into integration, the line integral lambda into dl by r square into r cap. Okay. See, now we can write the corresponding electric intensity equation also. The electric intensity E is equal to K into line integral L into lambda into dl divided by r square into r cap. So, the r cap is the unit vector in the direction of the electric intensity. See, this is about the linear charge distribution. See, the linear charge density is defined as it is lambda is equal to dq by dl, or simply the lambda can be written as lambda is equal to charge per unit length. Okay. So, the linear charge density lambda equal to charge per unit length. Its SI unit is coulomb per meter. So, the SI unit of linear charge density is coulomb per meter. Now let us study the volume charge distribution. See, let us consider a small volume dV. See, this is a small volume dV. Let this volume carry a charge dq. We consider a point P at a distance r from the center of the volume dV, and r cap is the unit vector in the direction of the force dF. See, this is the force on the charge q naught at P due to the volume charge distribution dq on the volume dV. Okay. See, now the volume charge density is defined as, see, the volume charge density equal to, see, the charge per unit volume of the conductor is called the volume charge density. See, its SI unit is coulomb per meter cube. Okay. So, now we can write the force on the charge q naught due to dq. Okay. See, the force F dF is equal to K into q naught into dq divided by r square into r cap. So, r cap unit vector directed from the center of the volume dV to the point P, or it is directed in the direction of the force dF. See, dq is equal to what? See, dq is equal to rho into dV. So, therefore, dF is equal to K into q naught into dq equal to rho into dV divided by r square into r cap. See, now it can be written as the force F on the charge q naught is K into q naught integration V, that is volume integral. So, this is volume integral into rho into dV divided by r square into r cap. Okay. The corresponding electric intensity equation E is equal to K into the volume integral rho into dV divided by r square into r cap. Okay. So, this is the force on the charged particle q naught placed at point P. This is electric intensity at P. So, the E and F are acting in the same direction. Okay. So, therefore, we can simply define the volume charge density as the volume charge density equal to charge per unit volume of the conductor. Okay. Its SI unit, as I said, its SI unit is coulomb per meter cube. Okay. Therefore, the volume charge density is the charge per unit volume of the conductor is called the volume charge density. See, so far we have studied the charge distribution, continuous charge distribution, the linear charge density, surface charge density, and volume charge density. So, let us now electric field lines. So, let us consider a charged particle. See, this is a charged particle Q. Okay. See, what is the space around the charged particle? That is what fills the space around the charged particle. The space around the charged particle is called the electric field, in which a test charge experiences a force. Suppose you place a charged particle at P at a distance r from the big charge, it experiences a force. The force is in this direction. therefore, the space around a charged particle in which a test charge experiences the force is called the electric field. See, we can graphically, we can visualize the electric field around a charged particle by drawing the electric field lines. The concept of the electric field lines was introduced by Michael Faraday. So, therefore, we can draw the electric field lines around a charged particle. See, suppose this is a positive charge. For a positive charge, the electric field lines are radially outward. See, these are the electric field lines. Okay. So, therefore, an electric field line can be drawn in an electric field along which a charged particles tend to move in the direction of the electric field. See, for a positive charge, the electric field lines are radially outward, and for a negative charge, the electric field lines are radially inward. These are the electric field lines for a negative charge. So, the electric field lines are radially inward for a negative charge. Okay. So, therefore, the electric field lines can be drawn in an electric field to represent the electric field around a charged particle. So, along which a test charge tend to move in the direction of the electric field. Okay. See, now let us study the properties of electric field lines. See, the properties of electric field lines. See, as I said, the electric field lines start from the positive charge and end on negative charge. See, the first property, the electric field lines start from positive charge and end on negative charge. See, the electric field lines start from positive charge and end on negative charge. We can draw the electric field lines for a positive charge and a negative charge like this. The electric field lines start from positive charge and end on negative charge. So, these are the electric field lines for a positive charge and for a negative charge placed close to each other, okay, and separated by a small distance. These are the electric field lines. Okay. See, for a positive charge, the electric field lines are radially outward. See, for negative charge, they are radially inward. Okay. So, electric field lines for a positive charge are radially outward, and the electric field lines for a negative charge are radially inward. And the electric field lines start from positive charge and end on negative charge. Second one, the second property says that the electric intensity at any point on the electric field line, say by drawing a tangent at any point on the electric field line, gives the electric intensity at that point. Okay. So, therefore, by drawing a tangent at any point on the electric field line, which gives the direction of electric intensity at that point. Okay. See, the next property, no two electric field lines can intersect each other. See suppose this is an electric field line, okay, and this is one more electric field line. See, suppose if these two electric field lines cross each other, and if we place a charged particle at this point, then which means that the charge q can tend to move in two directions simultaneously. See, it is impossible to move a charged particle along two directions simultaneously. So, therefore, no electric field lines intersect each other, or no two electric field lines intersect each other. Okay. see the next property. See, for a uniformly charged spherical conductor. See, suppose this is a uniformly charged spherical conductor. See, these are the charges. Positive charges are uniformly distributed on the surface of the conductor. Then the electric intensity is directed perpendicular to the surface of the charged conductor. See, the electric intensity is directed perpendicular to the surface of the charged spherical conductor. See, the next property, the electric field lines do not passes through the conductor. See, the electric field lines do not passes through the conductor. Okay. See, the one more property. See, the electric field lines exert, the electric field lines contract along the lengthwise. See, which signifies that the two unlike charges attract each other. So, therefore, they contract along the lengthwise. The next one, see, electric field lines exert a lateral pressure on each other. See, for example, for a positive charge and another positive charge, the electric field lines exert lateral pressure on each other. See which signifies that the like charges repel each other. The like charges repel each other. So, therefore, the electric field lines exert a lateral pressure on each other. So, these are the electric field lines for a positive charge and another positive charge. So, therefore, the like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. Okay. See, these are the few properties of electric field lines. Okay. See, just we have studied the electric field lines. So, electric field line is an imaginary line drawn in an electric field along which a test charge tend to move. Okay. See, now let us going to discuss the electric flux. See, what is electric flux? See, electric flux means the total number of electric field lines passing normally through unit area is called electric flux. See, let us explain the electric flux here. See, let us consider a pipe. See, this is a pipe, a cylindrical pipe. See, for example, a water pipe. See, let a small area, a ring of small area ds is held near the pipe. See, suppose the water flows through the pipe can also flows through the surface area ds. A metal ring of surface area ds. Okay. See, now this area and the water flows through the surface is maximum. See, the water flows through the surface area ds is maximum, and hence the flux of water flows through the surface area ds will be maximum. See, suppose if we held the metal ring like this. See, now what happens? The water flows on the ring, water particles falls on the ring, but no water flows through the ring. So, therefore, the water flux is equal to 0. So, the no flux passes through the ring. That is, no electric field lines passes through the ring. Similarly, let us consider a surface area ds in an electric field. See, suppose this is an electric field. See, this is a surface area ds. Okay. See, this is a surface area ds, and this is the vector known as the area vector. See, always the area vector is perpendicular to the surface area ds. See, this is the electric intensity vector. See, this is electric intensity vector, and the theta is the angle between the electric intensity vector and the area vector ds. So, now the electric flux through this surface area ds is defined as the total number of electric field lines passing through this surface is called the electric flux. See, the electric flux, the mathematically, the electric flux through the surface area ds is given by phi E is equal to E dot ds. E dot ds. See, it is the dot product of the two vectors, the electric field vector and the area vector ds. Okay. See, or it can be written as phi E is equal to E into ds cos theta, where theta is the angle between the electric intensity vector and the area vector ds. See, if theta equal to 0 degree, that is the electric field line, see the electric field line and the area vector acting along the same direction and along the same line, then theta equal to 0. See, when theta equal to 0, the electric flux phi E is equal to E into ds. So, therefore, the flux through the surface will be maximum when theta equal to 0. And if theta equal to 90 degree, so that is when the area vector ds and the electric intensity vector E both are perpendicular to each other, then theta equal to 90 degree. So, when theta equal to 90 degree, the electric flux will be minimum, that is equal to 0. Cos 90 is 0. So, therefore, flux through the surface ds is equal to 0. So, and hence the electric flux through a closed surface is nothing but the total number of electric field lines passing normally through that surface. So, this is called the electric flux. So, electric flux for, so the electric flux will be positive if theta is less than 90 degree. That is, the electric flux is positive. Electric flux is positive for the field lines which are radially outward. For electric field lines or electric field lines radially outward, or theta is less than 90 degree. See, if theta is less than 90 degree, then the electric flux phi is positive. And if theta is greater than 90 degree, the electric flux phi E is negative. That is, for the electric field lines which are directed inward, the electric flux is negative. So, let us study Gauss law in electrostatics. Say, just we have studied the electric flux. Say, what is electric flux? Say, electric flux is the total number of electric field lines passing normally through a surface is called electric flux. Simply, the number of electric field lines passing per unit area normally is called electric flux. Say, electric flux is given by the equation phi E is equal to E into ds cos theta. Say, flux is maximum when theta equal to 0 degree and flux is minimum when theta equal to 90 degree. Okay. Say, now let us study the Gauss law in electrostatics. Say, Gauss law states that the total normal electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. Okay. Say, this is called the Gauss law. Say, suppose this is a closed surface containing charges Q1, Q2, Q3, etc. Okay. Then the total electric flux through this surface is equal to 1 over epsilon times the total charge enclosed by the surface. See, the total charge here sigma q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, etc. So, therefore, the total normal electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. See, the charges should be inside the closed surface. So the charges, see suppose a charge plus Q4 is outside the closed surface, then it doesn't contribute any flux to the surface. So therefore, the Gauss law says that the electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. So therefore, the charges inside the surface only contribute the flux. So charges outside the surface do not contribute any flux. So flux is positive for the charges which are having electric field lines outward, radially outward, and the electric flux is negative for the field lines which are directed radially inward. See, this is called the Gauss law in electrostatics. See, Gauss law can be applicable to find the electric intensity due to symmetrical charge distributions like the electric intensity due to uniformly charged spherical conductor. So we can find the electric intensity near a uniformly charged spherical conductor, a uniformly charged infinitely long wire, a thin wire, and also we can find the electric intensity due to a uniformly charged infinitely long thin sheet of charge. See, this is a thin sheet of charge. So these are the few applications of Gauss law. So using Gauss law, we can find the electric intensity due to symmetrical charge distribution like the charges on the spherical conductor, electric intensity due to charges on the spherical conductor. So electric intensity due to uniformly charged wire and the electric intensity due to uniformly charged thin sheet. Let us find the electric intensity due to a uniformly charged wire. See, the expression for electric intensity due to uniformly charged infinitely long wire, infinitely long thin wire. Let us consider a uniformly charged infinitely long thin wire. See, suppose this is an infinitely long thin wire. Okay. See, these are the charges distributed on the surface of the wire. So to find the electric intensity due to uniformly charged wire, let us assume a surface known as the Gaussian surface around this wire. See, imagine this is a Gaussian cylinder coaxial with the wire. This is the Gaussian cylinder of length L and radius R. See, this is the Gaussian cylinder. See, this imaginary cylinder is called Gaussian cylinder. Okay. See, this Gaussian cylinder has three surfaces. See, this is end cap 1, this is end cap 2, and this is the curved surface 3. Okay. See, now we will going to find out the electric intensity due to this uniformly charged infinitely long thin wire. Okay. See, now let us find the electric flux through this closed Gaussian cylinder. See, what is the electric flux through this closed Gaussian cylinder? See, before that, let us write down the linear charge density on the wire. See, the linear charge density lambda equal to charge per unit length of the wire. Okay. So therefore lambda is equal to charge per unit length of the wire, where Q is the charge, total charge distributed on the wire, and L is the length of the cylinder, Gaussian cylinder. Okay. So lambda is equal to charge per unit length of the wire. Okay. It is called the linear charge density. So now write down the total electric flux through the Gaussian cylinder. See the electric flux through the Gaussian cylinder is phi E is equal to see, it is the sum of electric flux through the end cap 1, electric flux through the end cap 2, and the electric flux through the curved surface 3. Okay. See, it is flux through the end cap 1 plus the electric flux through end cap 2 plus the electric flux through end cap 3. See the electric flux through end cap 1. See here. See, these are the positive charges distributed on the surface of the conductor, and hence the electric intensity is away from the charge, positive charge. And the area vector is in this direction. This is area vector ds. Okay, this is area vector ds. This is electric intensity. So therefore, there is the angle 90 degree between the intensity vector and the area vector. Here in the second end cap, see the electric intensity E is in this direction and the area vector is in this direction. This is ds. So here also the angle between E and ds is equal to 90 degree. See, in case of the curved surface of the cylinder, see, suppose this is the area vector ds and the electric intensity vector is also in the same direction. This is E. Okay, here the theta is equal to 0. So now what is the flux through the end cap 1? See the end cap 1, see the line integral, see this is flux through the end cap 1, the surface integral E into ds cos theta plus the surface integral E into ds cos theta plus again the same equation, surface integral E into ds cos theta. See the total flux phi E is equal to, see here the theta equal to 90 degree. See this is E into ds, the surface integral E into ds cos 90 degree plus surface integral E into ds cos 90 degree plus surface integral E into ds cos 0 degree. See, the electric flux through the first end cap and the second end cap is 0. Since theta equal to 90 degree, the flux through the end cap 1 and end cap 2 is equal to 0. So therefore, the total electric flux phi E is equal to 0 plus 0 plus E into ds. Okay, this is surface integral E into ds. See now, what is the surface integral ds? See the surface integral ds is equal to the surface integral. See the surface integral ds is equal to, this is the curved surface area of the cylinder. Okay, this is the surface area of the curved surface area of the cylinder, 2 pi RL, it is 2 pi RL. So therefore, the total electric flux equal to E into 2 pi RL. See, call this equation number 1. See, from the Gauss law, see total normal electric flux through a closed surface is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface. See, call this equation number 2. See, from equations 1 and 2, we can equate these two. See, E into 2 pi RL equal to Q divided by epsilon epsilon naught, or it can be written as E equal to 1 divided by 2 pi epsilon naught, 2 pi epsilon naught into Q divided by R into L. See what is Q? See, Q equal to lambda into L. Okay, lambda linear charge density. So therefore it is E equal to 1 over 2 pi epsilon naught into, see, Q equal to lambda into L divided by R into L. See, this L get cancels. So therefore the electric intensity is, see, therefore the expression for electric intensity is E equal to 1 over 2 pi epsilon naught into lambda by R. See, this is the expression for electric intensity due to a uniformly charged infinitely long thin wire. Okay. See, the electric intensity E depends on the linear charge density. Okay. It depends on the linear charge density, and the electric intensity depends on, the electric intensity depends on the distance R. As the distance increases, the electric intensity decreases. Vectorially, it can be written as E equal to, see, the vector E is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught into lambda by R into R cap. So this is the electric intensity equation, electric intensity due to uniformly charged infinitely long thin wire.